Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be. Anyway, good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Anders, NR6H.
I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock, some kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
Weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
Weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
Weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
Weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
Weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is, N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken with one of those pinhole. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with made out of tile rock.
This is James.
Kind of
Santa Cruz County or wherever that used to be.
weird colored
anyway,
door.
Good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is.
So yes, this is a funny lens. This is a partial fisheye. So yeah, it's distorted on the edge.
N6PGQ.
Little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then it's taken. The fisheye doesn't quite fill the frame of the. Taken with one of those pinholes. I had a good reception. I got one little fisheye lens, and I think actually it would be a full fisheye if it was a full ID across. I had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. My fingers on the lower left. There's some background noise. Sounded like somebody was maybe doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. So this is, yes, the wilderness. This is, what we're seeing is something something out in the woods. It looks like a building with basically tile rock.
Now, this is James,
kind of
Santa Cruz County or where that used to be.
Weird colored
Anyway,
door.
good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is.
N6 little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then
Anders,
it's
NR6H.
taken with one of those thin holes. I had a good reception. I got one little ID across. Had some weird noise in the beginning. Actually, I can see that up in the sky. There's some background noise on it, like somebody was making doubling with Joel while he was sending the picture. What we're seeing is something out in the woods. It looks like a building with basically tile rock.
Now, this is James,
kind of
Santa Cruz County or where that used to be.
Weird colored
Anyway,
door.
good picture. Going to be interested to hear what it is. N6
little hut up in the mountains.
Thanks, Bob.
And then
Anders,
it's
NR6H. Thanks, Joel. That's a really great explanation. And I bet you're right, it's covered in snow right now. All right, Bob. Finally, N6PGQ. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I spent the entire day helping my son put a whole new front end under his car. And so this was saying last minute, but it's still somewhat in the theme of the past. So this is PD 120.
That is analog and an excellent picture. Beautiful quality, really. Almost, I think I see 2 pixel pops on the wood floor. Let's see. Neil hasn't commented. KL7HQR, go ahead.
Yes, KL7HQR. Yeah, this is in the past. I think I don't remember seeing those smaller versions of the Coca-Cola bottles for quite a while. And I didn't know Sprite had special bottles myself, but I just reminds me that I collected cans of Coke from all over the world on all my trips, and until about a year or 2 ago, and I just got tired and threw it all away, and found out that they do have some value. Too late. Good picture. No picture pops here either. So good picture, Bob. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. George N6YG, comments?
Well, I am not receiving anything, and it's not anybody else's issue. It's just MMS TV. I was set up to decode packet for the ISS, which I was doing just minutes before the net started, and for some reason, MMS TV will not pick up audio off the input now. So who knows? Just another Windows quirk I got to figure out.
A copy. I'll come back to you, George. Are you going to try to fix it? You want me to come back around?
I can probably send a picture. I know it sees the output. Let me see if I can send just a tone real quick.
All right. Let me finish with this, and then I'll come back around to you. Anders, NR6H, comments on the pop bottles.
Pop bottles, for sure, and very, very nice reception. Barely any pixel pops at all. We're looking at a wood floor, which I had the pleasure of putting one down myself just over the weekend here. Actually, that was laminate, but I was cheating. But anyway, and then a couple of bottles. So we'll hear a story behind this, I'm sure. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks. And Scott, N6SMH, comments?
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment. I'm new at this. In fact, that's probably my first full decode. I'm just using the Black Cat on my iPhone held up to the speaker, so we're talking loosely coupled here. So I won't be transmitting tonight, but I am looking. I was able to get a full image this time. I got the wood colors came right through, but I guess it was a green pad or something that the bottles were on. I don't know if it's a pad or carpet, but that didn't come across very well. But I was able to tell that there was 3 bottles there, that there were Coke bottles, and 2 of them said Coke. The third bottle on the right, I could not identify what that was, though I'm hearing from you that was a Sprite. Anyways, that's my comment, N6SMH.
Thanks, Scott. Excellent. Okay, Bob. You know when you bring something to class, you have to bring one for everybody. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I've always been a Coca-Cola fan, and when they got rid of Coca-Cola and went to New Coke, I bought about 12 cases of 6.5-ounce bottles of Coca-Cola, and before I could drink up like even half a case, they came back with Coca-Cola. So I don't know how long ago that was, 30 years or so. I've got about 11.5 cases of old, worn-out Coca-Cola sitting in the garage, and they're all in the old glass bottles with embossed Coca-Cola labels. But this isn't it. What this is a Coca-Cola bottle on the left and a Sprite bottle on the right, on the floor in the office, and the brown part in the right bottom corner is just a shadow. This is imported Coca-Cola and Sprite from Mexico, where they are old tech and use sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. And so once in a while I enjoy a Coke or a Sprite. Most of the time I steer clear of it, but I don't like the artificial stuff. So there it is, N6PGQ.
I agree with you. Go for the real stuff. Thanks. We have viewers online on YouTube who can hear, but they are not seeing any video. They're just getting a white screen. So I told them when we describe our photos, we're going to do what you did and Joel did, which is describe them as though this is an old Dick Tracy or the Shadow radio serial, and people are going to listen and imagine what the pictures look like. So there's no pressure. I'm going to go to George now to see if he can transmit a photo, N6YG.
I think this is an issue with MMS TV. I might need to reboot the computer. I can see the spectrum scope. I can see people talking, but it's just not decoding. It's weird. Let me transmit a tone. Let's see if you hear a tone.
Yeah, that worked, George.
Yeah, so it's just the receive end. All right, here we go. PD 120.
N6YGAE6JG, James here. George, I have a good quality photo. I have station ID across the middle, but there's nothing you can do about that. I see an old barn down a hill on the upper right part of the program. You have a lot of, like the hill, dirt in the forefront and the barn in the back. It's a barn that I think might have some solar panels on it. It looks like a modern barn with several large garages to the right, but it has a classic barn shape on the left with a barn door. And as I'm talking, I think KI1TTY might have fixed YouTube. I'm seeing your image stream through. Let's see, Scott, N6SMH, did you copy this photo?
Yeah. Sorry, I got it, but it's nowhere near as good as what's showing on the YouTube right now. It looks, I kind of got like the first left-hand side has the natural colors, and on the right-hand side it's kind of skewed and it's got some purples in it, and I didn't get all the call sign in. But again, you know, I'm new at this, and I'm not like hard coupled to the radio or anything, so it's as good as it's going to get.
Oh, you're using audio coupling, Scott?
Yeah, affirmative. I'm just putting the phone up to the speaker. I mean, it works, but your colorizations are off, and it looks like the image is somewhat skewed a little bit, but it works. You could tell, I mean, you could identify what the object is, which, like you said, is a barn, and I can see the location and the call sign.
Comment?
Copy that. I think we all started that way, and then gradually, plug things in with the help from everybody in this group. So if you want any help or advice, everybody in this group is happy to help. That's how I learned and continue to learn from the folks in this group who were really experienced. Joel, AI6DG, comments on George's photo.
Interesting you say we all started, because that definitely matches me. I started out with acoustical coupling, probably on a handy talkie, but I think I ended up with a base mic and speakers and everything. So you can actually make the image near perfect, but it takes a lot of work, because what you end up having to do is put muffling, pile a bunch of rags around it, or get some old rubber foam. Then the idea is so that the space between the microphone and the speaker it picks up nothing else in the room. So get them close together, put them on top of each other, put foam, rags, whatever around it, and you can do almost as good as direct connected rather than acoustical coupling. So good luck with that. Have fun. And you can do a transmit and receive. It just takes some work. The problem is picking up all the other stuff and echoes in the room. And yeah, got the image, nice line down the center where the repeater echoed. Barn in the center, two-story in the center with the angle down to a one-story section on each side. To the right side is a bunch of covered animal pens. To the left side is an open, is it paddock, or I'm not sure what you call that, but it's an open area with fences around it that the animals can wander around in. And drone shot, maybe? Where did you get the height to take this? Back to Net AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. Anders, NR6H.
Yeah, just second that. Good reception. Have an interesting faded, says SSTV version 1.13 in faded red up in the black bar right up at the top of the image. The motive, like everybody explained, the barn in front of a green forestry area, and I think everybody talked about the barn already, so I'll talk about the far background. We can see some probably power lines in the really far back, and I think the neighbor's house is also poking out in the left of the picture there, also kind of embedded in the greenery of the forest behind it. So nice picture. See the ID in the middle, but very little other pixel pops. And yeah, like Joel, I'm interested, is this a drone shot? Because it's the angle kind of tells us that it's taken from quite a height. And R6H, back to Net.
Thanks, Anders. George, can you tell us about the photo? This is AE6JG.
Alright, so this is a picture of a friend of ours. This is my wife's ex-husband's barns. Very good friend of ours. And this is one of three. Those are horse stalls that you're looking at. I'm looking at the image on YouTube, so it doesn't actually show my call sign across the top. But way off in the corner, you can see my blue van. There's a 1960, I think it's 68, Ford Econoline van sitting over on the other side of the barns there, and a bunch of ham radio antennas stored in there. But there's three of these as they go across. So this is the one on the, as you're facing them, the one on the far left, and they're pole barns. My wife helped build these back in the late 70s, early 80s, in or abouts. And that's all just corrugated steel roof on that thing. Yeah, I always wanted to stick a 5 BTV on the top of one of these things. All the hay is stored in the top. I got another picture with all three of them, and it is a drone shot taken with my drone at my daughter-in-law's wedding. I decided to launch the drone, and I took a bunch of pictures of the wedding, and then flew up and took this picture as well. And maybe next week I'll send the other picture where you can see all three of them. But this is the one I decided on just because the lighting was good on it. The other ones I have to take those, go back and retake those in the morning. There in Carmichael.
Thanks, George, and we're really glad that you've joined us. Hopefully you can get the receive figured out, but the YouTube images are now working, so you can go to the YouTube live stream page and see the images coming through. Neil, KL7HQR, your turn.
Roger, let's give it a try. Last 2 weeks I had a problem because when it came my turn, things didn't work. So let's give it a try now. This will be PD 120.
All right. Well, it worked that time. KL7HQR AE6JG. It's slowly coming in on YouTube, but it's completed for us and who are directly connected to the to our radios. That's a beautiful picture, Neil. Let me ask, who hasn't talked very much? Let's start with Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, really nice picture. Not too many pixel pops. Unfortunately, the ID went right through the opening in the clouds. Looks like a stormy day with a little opening in the clouds that shows a nice casting of sunlight going down to a very calm body of water with some hills in the background. Really nice picture. I like that. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, Scott, N6SMH. Did you pick this one up?
Yeah, I got this one. I had to play around a little bit with the spays and skews a little bit just to correct it, but I did get it. The color was just mostly greens, but I was able to tell that it was a kind of a sunlight or sunburst coming from clouds onto a body of water, and I did get some call signs text at the bottom. So yeah, it was, again, you could tell it was definitely off, but I did try putting some cloth around the coupling and see if that improved it. I'll keep trying to see how to get that to go. N6SMH.
All right, thanks, Scott. Let's see. Neil, tell us about this image. I'm seeing we're already 9:45 to 10, so I'm going to move things along. KL7HQR, go ahead.
Right, it's KL7HQR. Looking on YouTube, looks like we got only half of the picture, and, but congratulations, they're getting it going, and that's a lot of work, and I'm appreciating that Denny and who else? EMF are working on that. Anyway, this picture is my wife likes to take pictures of sunrise and sunsets, and we just couldn't not take this one. The interesting part is that it was during our trip to Antarctica, and this was taken after it was between 10:30 and 11 p.m. It just didn't last long. It was just a few minutes, and she managed to capture it. So, but the main thing is that it is so late at night, and we still have that much sun. So back to that.
Thanks, Neil. I mean, it really is, it looks like God poking through whatever you believe in, right? It's just amazing. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Anders, NR6H, it's your turn.
Alrighty, so we are going to do Robot 72 just because, and here it comes.
Thanks, Anders. Well, that could be a lot of things. Maybe it's part of a polygraph. I'll be interested to hear more about this. George, N6YG, comments? Can you see it?
Got to find the microphone. As a matter of fact, that came through finally. I actually had a bad audio cable. Somehow I damaged the audio cable, so I was kind of playing around with it halfway between, and N6NA SSTV Net. Very interesting picture. It actually came out real good with just a few pops, and I see an electronics project. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here, so I'll let him explain it.
Thanks, George. Joel, AI6DG.
Okay, so we've got a handy-talkie with its back off, sitting on top of an Intel something, which I'm guessing is some sort of small computer. You can see a cable on the left coming up, going to an adapter that splits off, one going to a power buck or boost supply that's sitting on top of the bottom of Okay, the cover's off the handy-talkie, so we've got that little buck boost board sitting on top of that, and wires going into the radio to power the radio, and another cable coming off that adapter that's going to power the computer that's underneath. I can see two cables going to the handy-talkie on the right. One going to the antenna, I presume, and the other one is probably audio going in. You can't tell, but I'm presuming it's going into what the computer is sitting on top of is. I see a cable going, maybe plugged into maybe an Adreno that's sitting on top of the handy-talkie next to the power board. Again, with wires going into the handy-talkie and USB or something plugged into that that's going into, the computer underneath it. And some other cables going into the computer that's sitting underneath it, but they go off screen to the top. So I'm assuming something that needs a computer, a handy-talkie, and another. What's the Adreno be doing? It's a project, yeah. So is it a TNC? Is it a little mini repeater? Look forward to hearing more. AI6TG, back to net.
Thanks, Joel. Anders, NR6H, you want to tell us if Joel got that right?
So I think everything Joel said was correct. Circling around the truth here. So what we're looking at the bottom is a one of those fanless, underpowered PCs. It can't really be used for much because it's so underpowered, so it doesn't really run anything really well. But it's fine for this project. It's probably 10 times faster than a Raspberry Pi, so that's at least something. And then on top of that is this dissected handy-talkie, and that's a Baofeng BF888. That's the super cheapo UHF-only handy-talkie that you can buy on Amazon for like $10 each. They're super cheap. They don't have a display, they just have a channel knob. But they can be reprogrammed for ham frequencies, so that's why they're popular for this type of stuff. And then, like Joel said, there's a power supply, and the other little board is actually a USB sound card. So that is in turn taking care of both the audio and the COS and the PTT signals to the handy-talkie. So this makes a All-Star node. So on the PC, I'm running All-Star Link, and then running on Debian 10, and then it's controlling the handy-talkie. And I'm able to use this as a pretty good All-Star node. In fact, this is my first experience with All-Star myself, so that's why it looks like this. Next iteration, it'll be a little more cleaned up, I think. The lesson learned from this project, though, that I learned, I'll break and have that little lesson in 1 second. Yeah, so the lesson learned here was that when I started this out, when I started using this, I had serious problems whenever this thing was transmitting. It just transmitted garbage. So as soon as the TX was on the handy-talkie, it just transmitted garbage audio. And that's because I was using the stock antenna that came with it. So that antenna is obviously, like I said, this thing is used for GMRS and FRS frequencies, right? That's what the thing is delivered as. It can be reprogrammed to ham frequencies, but that's like 10 or 20 megahertz off, right? So that antenna becomes really detuned at those frequencies, and it's sitting on top of this PC, so it doesn't have a body as a counterpoise. So basically, when this thing was transmitting, all that energy that went up in the antenna went right back into the electronics, and all I heard was noise. So instead of using the antenna right on the radio, I added a little extension cable and then an antenna that is actually tuned for this frequency. So all the RF energy that this thing produces now goes to that antenna and doesn't come back at the radio. And now it sounds absolutely gorgeous. So lesson learned, use proper antennas for your transmitters. NR6H, back to net.
All right. right. Well, that's an important lesson, and I have not gotten into all these digital things yet, all these different nodes. Eventually, I bet. I did finally get WinLink working with the FTM 400, which I think I told you, and that's, you know, testing the boundaries of my knowledge. But I look forward to learning more from you, Anders, about this. I know it's become very popular with Sierra Foothills. I'm going to check with, oh, by the way, the image was perfect, came through beautifully. Scott, N6SMH, do you want to try to send a photo with acoustic coupling tonight?
Negative. I'm still trying to figure that part out, so we'll pass. On this particular image, I didn't get much of it either. I could tell there was a wire and possibly some kind of a radio or electronics project, but that's all I got on the receive. But yeah, I'll skip the send tonight. I couldn't quite figure out how to get this thing to send.
Copy that, Scott. Okay, thanks. All right, then that leaves me, AE6JG. I'm going to send an image PD120. Stand by. All right. Well, let me ask Neil, KL7HQR.
That's KL7HQR. Good copy. Beautiful blue sky, obviously at an airport. A very interesting airplane, with a red airplane with white wings, and obviously the controls are pulled all the way back. The elevator is on a climb, and the door is open. It looks like they have some wing struts on the top of the wing. I don't think I've seen an airplane like this. And I see what appears to be a Cessna 172 or something similar a little bit farther down. And looks like it was a beautiful day to go flying. I don't know if that airplane is yours or not, but very good copy. I'm curious to know about where and what type of airplane it is. Back to that.
Thanks, Neil, N6PGQ.
Very nice picture. A few pixel pops that are pretty obvious in the sky. Nice little red airplane with the door open, and it's tethered. I don't know whether it has just landed or being prepared for takeoff. White wings and white tail, or a red tail, but a white, whatever that thing is, ailerons or something in the back. I'm not an airplane person. Like Neil said, there's strut supports going to the wing, which is kind of unusual. Be interested to know where this airport is. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. George, N6YG, did you get it?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to add, other than that the picture came over pretty good. I have a Morier pattern on it. I'm not sure why. But other than that, the picture came over looking great. I'll leave it up to the op to send the description.
Copy. Your signal's good. Your modulation was a little low, but we copied that. Thanks, George. This is AE6JG. Well, this is, if you recall from last week, I showed you a picture of the inside of an old cockpit. Well, this is the plane. This is about a 70-year-old mountain plane that was built in Wyoming. Greg is actually on our YouTube live stream, and he is the owner of this plane, and he flies it. It's a plane that he flew as a kid, and he recently tracked it down and bought it. And it's in beautiful condition. And this airport is the Yolo International Airport. And yeah, this plane flies, and I think it's designed, again, for mountain currents and things, so apparently flies beautifully. So that's all I have. Any other comments or questions before I close the net?
KL7HQY. Well, thank you very much for sharing. This is a very interesting airplane, and I would like to hear some more about it one of those days. Back to net.
Sure, Neil. I can put you in touch with Greg. I think we might have done that last time. Remember that blue and yellow plane that I showed, I don't know how long ago? The same owner. That plane, sadly, no longer exists. But you remember that plane?
No, I do not.
I showed images of it a while ago, and I think you had questions about it. I thought I put you two in touch. Anyway, certainly I can connect you. It's a plane with a great story. Any other comments or questions before I close the net?
I'm going to look for the videos on YouTube and see if I find those pictures.
And I'll try. It might have been 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, but a little while ago. 2 years seems too long because I haven't been doing this with you all that long. Before I close the net, I want to thank KI1TTY for her valor in getting the YouTube up and running. It's not easy when KP4MD is gone and we try to fill her shoes. When she gets back, we're going to have to, let her know how good she is without inflating her ego. Any other comments?